your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Great to be with you on this overcast day. Just to spend a few hours over at Worldwide Technology Raceway. There's a lot going on in St. Louis. So you had the Blues playing last night down here. We are downtown, by the way. KMOX is located downtown, right within view, actually, of Enterprise Center. I can see it right around the corner there. We are just down the street from City Park, which was also in business last night, and another winner. City won over Sporting KC by a final of 3-1. Blues won 3-2 over the Blackhawks in overtime. And across the river, where I just was, just to show you that everything is so close, we had the NHRA Midwest Nationals getting underway today, and they'll be running today. And they do have some tickets available if you want to go over there and go see the best drag racers in the world going head-to-head. If you can't make it in for today, it'll be on FS1 later. You also have the Billikens. They practiced on Friday. Robbie Avila got hurt, though, if you have not heard. So we'll hear from Josh Schertz. He's going to join us here at 10:30 to give us an update on Robbie and see what is to come for him with his ankle injury. He stepped on someone's foot, actually, and turned his ankle. So how long will he be out? We'll hear from Coach Schertz about that at 10:30. And on top of all that, you have just a plethora of college football to watch, which is very enjoyable, and NFL all day long today. So there's just so many options, not to mention playoff baseball coming. Now, the Cardinals' last game is today. We'll have it on KMOX at 2:05. And then we are going to have a big discussion coming as to what the future is for the Cardinals. Tomorrow, we have planned at noon. You might have heard us hyping this a little bit. So Matt Pauley is going to join me along with Bernie Miklasz and Kevin Wheeler. And the four of us are going to do a live stream at noon tomorrow to talk about the Cardinals. Now, I do not have official word from the Cardinals that they are doing a press conference tomorrow. As I mentioned, they are in San Francisco. But if it were to happen as early as tomorrow, we would obviously have coverage of that as to what that looks like, and then we would react as a group to that. So the noon start time for that is flexible. It's fluid. But I just don't know. I think that the Cardinals have, as well, John Mozeliak said it to us on the show. And by the way, he can't come on today, and it's not because he doesn't want to talk to us. It's because he is traveling. I talked to Mo yesterday. But there's going to be a change here. He told us that weeks ago that there are going to be changes coming, and he called it a reset of the front office. So what does that look like? How much is Chaim Bloom involved? I don't know that they were ready to make a statement until the season came to an end. Well, the season will come to an end today at about 5 o'clock. And then at that point, we'll see what they end up saying. It's a 2 o'clock game. Game's over at 5. We're going to go to Chiefs right after the game, Chiefs-Chargers. But stay tuned to KMOX. So if the Cardinals decide to do an end-of-the-season press conference, which they typically do, if they do it as early as tomorrow, we'll pass it along to you. And what's going to happen in that thing? There are going to be announcements. Some people will like it. Some people won't. Everyone's going to react. And, my hope is that the Cardinals, and I feel like I'm a broken record on this, but I do think it's important that the Cardinals are as clear as possible. They have to be transparent with the fan base, and they have to bring this fan base to behind the curtain, actually. Not just to the table. They need to tell them what's going on. And I'll be very curious. Katie Wu's story was very good. Very, very well done. I think when you hear her at 11:30 today on our show, you'll hear further explanation of how she went about that. It's basically about the player development needing a refresh and the Cardinals knowing that and working on that, details of which are to be released here shortly. But it's important that the Cardinals are upfront with their fan base and they let them know what is going on. It has to be done. I think the Blues did that a couple of years ago. I think City did that from the get-go. And the Cardinals need to do that. Now, the fan base is massive. It is very passionate, but it's also a very smart group of people. And I think that if you bring them along with you, but you got to open the line of communication with them and you have to tell them what you were doing. And if you do that and you take them along for the ride, yes, there will be some people that always are going to protest certain ways that you do things, but all you can do is keep them abreast of the situation. That's really what it comes down to. If you have a customer, a fan base that is that passionate about your product, meet them and tell them what is happening. So I hope that does happen. But in the meantime, we are going to talk. Oli Marmol, our Cardinals manager, on the show every Sunday. This is his final appearance of the season. We will have him here in just a few minutes. John Mozeliak, again, traveling, won't be able to join us at 11:30. We'll play the Katie Wu interview, and then Bernie Miklasz will weigh in at 11:45. That's how we'll close the show. We also have, if you want to start it now, there's this little, if you go on the Odyssey app to listen to our show, there's a little microphone icon next to the live stream. Those of you who listen on your phone or tablet or laptop know what this is. You click on that microphone and you can leave a comment. It's that simple. And Drew Young, our producer, will take those comments and we'll play those along the way. Keep them civil if you can, but this is about you expressing your opinion. I mean, I've never been averse to negativity. I mean, it's passion. So I want to hear what you think about the team. We will talk about it, especially in the back half of the 11 o'clock hour. Until then, Oli Marmol, Josh Schertz, Blues, NFL picks, college football, Lutz Pfannenstiel, Katie Wu, Bernie Miklasz. It's all happening. Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with Oli. Let me just mention a few more things real quick. Illinois loses to Penn State 21-7. Illini fans should not be discouraged necessarily. They are taking steps to getting to where they want to be, and they'll learn from that loss. At least you're not Ole Miss, who got a bad loss on their resume now from Kentucky. You have to take care of that one because Ole Miss now has a tough schedule ahead of it. Phenomenal game yesterday between Alabama and Georgia, two heavyweights who will be in the playoff. Might as well just put Bama in right now. Although, we'll see what Bama and Missouri end up doing together. Mizzou has to get through Texas A&M first, and that's happening here shortly next week. And college football was very entertaining, always is. We'll take a break. Come back. Oli Marmol from San Francisco live, joining us right here. Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX, sponsored by Gray Bar.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
We're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This is Jean Marie Laskus with the podcast Cement City. So there's this election coming up, a big one, and one guy's been indicted. People are talking voter fraud. Democracy itself is on the line. Sound familiar? Well, this isn't that election. This one is in Genora, Pennsylvania, a dying town in the middle of nowhere, where I bought a house and stayed for 3 years. Listen to and follow Cement City, an Odyssey original podcast in partnership with Cement City Productions, available now for free on the Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
Question: are you a maintain it before it breaks person or a wait for a problem person? Get ahead of the game or just see what happens type? Well, if you're the practical, forward-thinking sort, then get this. For a limited time, the rock-solid fix-it-right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at jerrykelly.com.
McKelvey Homes is celebrating 126 years with big savings for you. McKelvey Homes, found at McKelveyHomes.com, was established in 1898. Get $18,980 off your new home, plus up to $10,000 cash at closing from the Carpenters Union. Hurry, these funds are first come, first serve, and they won't last long. Experience the legendary quality and move up to McKelvey. Visit McKelveyHomes.com.
KMOX Weekend at your service. Sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. Now, the Manager's Chat. Presented by Siteman Cancer Center. Siteman Cancer Center. National leaders in cancer.
Welcome back to the show. We are live at 10:16 with Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol. Ollie, thank you very much for doing this. As always, we appreciate it.
Absolutely. How you doing?
Doing well, and I know this is game number 162. This is it. You'll be taking on the Giants today. I know that you probably, you have some mixed feelings about today. I mean, I know you're excited about some young players that you've kept an eye on, and certainly about Ryan Helsley, which we'll get into here, but also that you wanted more. And there's no doubt. I mean, we've talked about it all year. You wanted more than this, and how do you feel going into this final game today?
Exactly right. I mean, you wanted more for the season, and obviously we weren't able to accomplish it for a lot of different reasons. And it ends today. Again, we missed playing in October, and we have to figure out a way to get back to not only get into October, but deep into October and for consistent years. So that's where I'm at the moment.
And I know that, there's a lot of discussion about the Cardinals moving forward as an organization and what the whole body of work is going to look like. Do you get yourself wrapped up in that right now, or will there be a time for that?
Yeah, there'll be a time for that. And I'll let Mo and the group kind of handle that part of it.
And for you right now, handling one final game against the Giants, you can't talk about this series without talking about what Ryan Helsley just did. I mean, that 49 saves is a monster number, but it's the way that he did it, Ollie. He has been dominating. It has to really be something to know that your game, if you have a lead, is like an 8-inning game just about. I mean, it's amazing.
I'm really proud of the work he's done this year and the way he's taken the ball, man. I really am. One of my favorite moments is when he had the streak going, and it was broken because of the extra inning rule. Runner on second, starting at second, that scored, and he immediately comes into the dugout and goes, "I want the ball. I'm going back out there for the 11th." And we end up taking the lead, and he goes back out. But it just shows the mentality of where he's at, right? Like he was putting the team first every single opportunity. He took the ball every time we asked. And there's a lot of close games, man. We played quite a bit of them this year. And for him to do what he did allowed us to get to this point. Without that, this could have been a disastrous year.
I talked to him in spring training, and he just seemed in a very good place mentally about accepting when things don't go well that you have another day. Was that a big focus for him to eliminate some of the frustration that maybe festered when things didn't go well?
Has to be. You think about a closer's role. The game is on the line, and if you don't do your job, the game immediately flips. You can be a hitter and you don't drive in a run in the second. Well, guess what? You may have an opportunity to drive a run in the fifth or the sixth. So you get multiple opportunities per game to impact the game. As a closer, you come in, you got one shot to keep the game where it's at. And when it doesn't happen, you feel like you've lost it for the entire team and all the work that was put in that day. So you have to be able to flush that because that's heavy. You go home, you sit on that, don't have an opportunity to close the next day because of the score. And you just have to sit in those thoughts of, gosh darn, I didn't do my job. So you have to be able to flush it and immediately bounce back. And he's done a good job of having the right mentality.
What about physically? How did you manage that, and how did he manage it? It has to be both, right? He's got to be honest with you, and you obviously are tracking everything that he does.
Yeah. I think part of it is we talked about it quite a bit. It's just you have the last 3 innings of the game, so we're not going to use you for 4 outs because we don't have somebody available today. Kit's not available. JoJo's not available, so we're going to need you to go out there and get the 8th and the 9th. So we had to navigate how we get to the 9th, and he did a good job of just taking the ball, man. He's honest with me. I'm honest with him, and at the end of the day, it worked out in a way where there were certain series where we wouldn't have used him, and the score dictated that we didn't need him. And but whenever it did, man, he was there.
The Tampa Bay Rays have this history of making trades with people and people wondering how hard it can be sometimes because they're so good at evaluating their own talent. They have historically been very good. That turned out to be a pretty good trade for you. Andrew Kittredge, this guy was something else. I mean, he locked down. There are others too, but I want to focus on Kit for a minute. What made him so effective here in 2024?
He's pitched in leverage before, and he is as calm as they possibly get. His presence in that clubhouse and in that bullpen was extremely important, man, because it's a guy that's been there, he's done it, and understands the ups and downs of a season, especially as a reliever. It's not the easiest role to bridge to your ninth inning guy, but he's been there before, and I really enjoyed having him, man. This is a guy that, just personality-wise, he's the same guy regardless of situation. He comes in the same way. You know what to expect from him. And when you know what to expect from somebody, it's easier to plan for things. And he fit that bill well.
And we could go right down the line. I mean, King, Romero, everybody had so many big moments. And even when something didn't go well, they're taking the ball, they're going right back out there. But the other lefty is Liberatore, who I think, it'd be fair to say there were a lot of questions about what he was going to do. I think it's pretty clear what he does well. He takes the ball and lets it rip. I mean, he has become a very, very good setup reliever, hasn't he?
He's done an incredible job. The mentality of him in that bullpen speaks for itself. To your point, he knows, hey, I got one inning, potentially have to go back out and get a lefty or whatever the case may be, but I can just let it eat. And when he does that, gosh darn, it's a lot of fun to watch because there's an aggressive mentality to it that leads to high production. And we've seen it with him in that bullpen for a decent part of this year, man. But to your point, one thing I do want to give credit to that department as a whole, because you just mentioned it, Kit, incredible year. Helsley, incredible year. Libby, incredible year. King, incredible year. JoJo, incredible year. You can go up and down that bullpen and that rotation, Palante, the growth that took place there. And a lot of work was put in. And Dusty and Hooley and Kiefer, that performance department, they did a really nice job of getting the most out of those guys this year.
No, I was actually just about to say that, and all of that entire staff. But of course, I was going to focus on Dusty because I think maybe we don't talk about him enough, and maybe people just don't know enough about what he's actually doing in the background and the prep that goes into it, but also the data that he has available to him and the eyes that are put on all of these pitchers. Can you go into what makes Dusty so effective and why you believe so strongly in him?
And it's hard for me to let me back up. Yeah. I'll just be honest because of the conversations, and it's easier for me to be honest. When I'm around town and people stop me and go, they'll ask questions like, "Who's this Dusty guy?" Like, just a numbers guy, just an analytic guy, driven guy. It's so far from that. I mean, this is a good baseball guy that really understands the blend and the mix of our game, of the analytical side and how to change certain shapes and usage and things that lead to higher production, but the mentality and the grit and the overall grind of this game and how to actually put yourself in a mental place that allows you to get through the ups and downs. And from a teaching standpoint, man, he blends that so well. So everyone's always not sure about him or what he does or how he does it because they don't know enough. They just see a young pitching coach and they just correlate it to he's probably a numbers guy and doesn't know anything else outside of that. The reality is, man, he's incredible at his job and at leading his staff to understand the best way to use their skill sets to help the player. And I'll give him a lot of credit. He's done a hell of a job.
And on the other side of things, when things don't go well, let's say offensively, do you think that hitting coaches, just instructors in general, take too much criticism? Do they take too much praise when things go well? How do you read just coaches in general?
It's part of it. Yeah, Tom. It's part of the job. When things don't go well, point your finger at me. when they go well, I really want the credit to be on the player. And we've had seasons where guys were doing really well, and you're going to end up, like, at the end of the day, you are the one that takes the blame. I've got zero issue with that. As coaches, we want the blame, okay? And it'll always be that way. Like, we're not going to veer from that. So, yeah, we didn't have the year we wanted offensively. Point your finger at me, and we'll wear it. I've got zero issues with that.
As you look at this team now with today and just today in general, what would you like? Obviously, you want to get a win today, but what would you like to walk away from today? And maybe, you know, I mean, you don't have to tell us what you're going to say to them, but what would you like to leave this team knowing as you walk away today in your final game?
A lot of that has already been discussed, and I hope you can see it in the style of play, right? We got knocked out of contention, and the group continue to play as hard as you've seen them all year. So part of that message is, hey, listen, we weren't good enough this year, and that's not going to change how we play the game. You watch Mason going first to home and so JC running right in that left fielder's face the other day. And I mean, the guys are going to continue to play the game as hard as they've ever played it. And we're not going to veer from that. So that message has already come across. And I really do hope that, yes, there's disappointment for them not making the playoffs. Trust me, we're equally as pissed as anybody. But at the end of the day, these guys are going to commit to playing this game the way Cardinal fans are used to seeing us play the game, and that's hard, regardless of the situation, to the very end.
Oli, this is our last visit together on these Sunday mornings. I know that there is, of course, a lot that goes into that. You make yourself available to us. We're not the only ones. You know, you talk to TV, you talk to writers before every game, you talk to Mike Claiborne before every game. But you make it a point on these Sundays and on Wednesdays to inform our listeners. And it's very important to us. And we appreciate these visits very much. We appreciate you and your contributions to KMOX Radio.
Appreciate it, Tom. Seriously, thank you, man.
Great to be with you. We'll catch up real soon.
You got it, brother.
Cardinals manager Oli Marmol with us, 10:28 here. Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. Cardinals playing at 2:05. They are getting ready to get warmed up here and play a ball game, a day game here on KMOX. It'll be at noon their time out on the West Coast. We're going to take a break. When we come back, a guy who is getting his team ready for its first game. It'll be October 18th. In an exhibition game at Chaffetz Arena. He's got an injury, though, to deal with already. That's Robbie Avila. Josh Schertz, head coach of the Billikens, joins us next on KMOX.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. You know, when you go to the Audiology Center, you'll see a doctor of audiology. And with us right now, Dr. Colleen Bosler. Dr. Bosler, what are some of the signs of hearing loss?
Well, it's a number of things. Sometimes loved ones notice a person asking others to repeat themselves, or the television is too loud. What people tend to notice first with hearing loss is the loss of clarity. They can hear people talking, but they cannot always understand what's being said. That's because the hearing loss can cause you to miss certain consonant sounds, and those consonant sounds give us the detail to the word. A hearing aid can help bring back those details and give you a sense of clarity that you're missing.
Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center, with 3 locations in the greater St. Louis area. Call for an appointment, 636-441-7470. Online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free. with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
You entrusted a nursing home with the care of a loved one, and you believed they'd be kept safe. But now you've learned the nursing home has violated that trust. You've discovered bed sores, broken bones, and infections. Your loved one did not receive the care they deserved. If your family member has been the victim of nursing home neglect or abuse, call Onder Law at 844-BED-SORE. Onder Law, making a difference one case at a time.
Billiken Nation, this is Robbie Avila, and I can't wait to represent SLU for the Lou and our city's basketball team. Get your tickets now for as low as $125 or experience the excitement up close with 100 level seats for $540 by visiting SLUBillikens.com today. You won't even need my goggles, as there is not a bad seat in Chaffetz Arena. Be a part of it from the beginning, as my teammates and I are working extremely hard to bring a championship to the Lou. Pack Chaffetz Arena to cheer on an exciting brand of basketball. Buy your tickets now by visiting SLUBillikens.com today.
The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates are pleased to welcome Dr. Samuel Berry to the practice. He joins Drs. Birdie, Malhotra, Brasati, and Royer as the Doctors' Doctors. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Fall is in the air, and it's a perfect time for you to call Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the sign you have the very best. Whether you need something done before winter comes or you just want to plan for next spring so that you can have the best outdoor space on the block, Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the company to call. They do offer free in-home estimates, free project design, so they can help you put together the plan to make your outdoor space the envy of everyone, party central, or just your own quiet little refuge. Decks, patios, pergolas, sunrooms, screen rooms, fences, retaining walls. They can do it all at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They have the highest quality materials. They have their own installation team, which is really important because they have years of experience and they stand behind everything they do. For the month of September, if you mention me, Debbie Monterey, they'll give you 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project. It's Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. Find them online now at chesterfieldfence.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448.
Brian.
Yes, Sarah?
What is the point of making junk disappear?
We make space for possibility.
Oh, that's huge.
Why do people want junk to disappear?
To make space for possibility.
And who gives them this new space?
We do.
And how do we do it?
We make junk disappear.
And what does a person need to do to make all this happen?
All you have to do is point.
We make space for possibility.
We make space for possibility.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Welcome back, Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. It is, as always, great to talk Billiken basketball at this time with the head coach of the Billikens, Josh Schertz. He'll be joining us throughout the season when he can here in this 10:30 slot. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great, Tom. How are you?
Doing great. I know that Friday was a lot of fun to have all the fans there to see the men's and women's programs, but I did want to get right to it and see if you're able to give us an update on Robbie Avila. I know that an ankle injury, it appeared, is going to sideline him for a little bit. How are things looking there?
Yeah, so we'll we did imaging yesterday, scans yesterday, that all came back, negative, which is good for us. Looks like a grade 2 lateral ankle sprain. which the normal, recovery time for that is somewhere between, 2 to 4 weeks, just depending on how somebody heals. So we don't expect, again, you never know, but we don't expect anything that would sideline him or keep him out of for Santa Clara, and could be back as early as, as 2 weeks, but probably closer to 3. And we'll see. Hopefully he gets one exhibition in and get back in. But all things considered, that morning, that's probably the best case scenario. Just landed on a foot, contesting a shot, and those things happen. Unfortunately, you can't bubble wrap these guys. You got to practice and get up and down. And unfortunately, it happened in a deal like that where it's a scrimmage versus practice. But end of the day, it's as good a news as we could have hoped for.
It's absolutely great news. And there's no doubt that when you're playing basketball and you got feet moving around and feet with feet, things are going to happen. Though I'm surprised, I don't know. How have your practices gone? Have you been able to get through those unscathed?
Yeah, we've had things here and there. We've had little bumps and bruises, guys with different things. I think there's always differing schools of thought on this, but my thing is, if you bubble wrap the guys, you spend every time just doing stuff dummy because you're worried about injuries. When you have to actually play and it's not dummy and it's full speed and bodies are flying around, then I think you're more apt to get hurt. And so some of it in the preseason is you got to build conditioning. And you also got to build their body armor because they are going to be hitting bodies, and then stuff does happen. You do, unfortunately, in a season. You have injuries, you have illness. Guys get dinged. We've had a concussion. We've had a guy in the weight room, do something to his ribs. We've had little things here and there. AJ Casey pulled a hamstring, in that same game there towards the end, and that honestly, thankfully, is also looks to be pretty mild, maybe a week or so for him, week 10 days with a hamstring strain. But you have all these type of things. But I think for me, that's a part of we gotta have a lot of guys ready to go, and stuff does happen during a season. And but in practice, I think you're trying to prepare them for the games, and the best way to prepare is to get up and down, hit bodies, because when that thing does become full speed, if you haven't done that, I actually think it makes you more susceptible to getting injured because your body's not ready for the rigors of what's to come.
That's a very good point. And just looking at a silver lining here, does this not create an opportunity for somebody to step in for Robbie and play that position and learn it?
Yeah, no question. And Robbie's been, he had a 10-day window where he missed with the back. He had a back flare up, earlier. And so he was out for 10 days. Isaiah's been out for, missed a couple of weeks with his knee was inflamed. And we've had guys out for chunks of time, with different things. And so, but this does create opportunities. It gives more repetitions to guys, guys like Kaluanya who will play some at the trigger, Killian Brokoff who will play some at that trigger spot. When AJ's back, he'll get some reps there. So some guys that may get some reps at the 5, it gives them some opportunity there that they wouldn't have had. And also with Robbie, we got to get him back so he can get his rhythm. But out of probably anybody in the program in terms of, his understanding systematically and all those things, like that's not an issue for him. He'll be fine, obviously, in that regard. It'll be more just making sure that the conditioning and the rust is, off and that he's as ready to go as possible, on November 4th. But there's that's the silver lining, in the adversity. The opportunity adversity is more repetitions for those guys, and it helps prepare them because, stuff happens in season, and we may need those guys at the 5. I'm sure we will at different points to help us win games. So stuff will happen. So getting them as ready as we can is also part of the process.
Yeah, you typically, having watched your teams at Indiana State, don't go too deep into your bench. But as you mentioned, you got to have people ready to roll. I talked to Gibson Jimerson last week. Boy, does he seem enthusiastic about everything. What has he been like from your perspective?
It's been an absolute, dream to coach. It'd be hard to find somebody I could enjoy more that, I didn't recruit. And I'd say that, Kellen and Larry have been very much in that same vein of guys that have just, the buy-in has been really authentic and deep. And, they're super committed, great teammates. Gibson's a guy that, what he brings to the table, his intelligence, he's playing with really good toughness. I've been really fortunate. I've coached some amazing shooters, not just, at Indiana State, but going back to my time at Lincoln Memorial, and I think Gibb would be a guy that would be at the top end of shooters, just his ability to shoot off movement, his ability to shoot with range. He's got such an unbelievably quick release. He's really tailor-made for this system. His ability to shoot off the move and his ability to move without the basketball and think the game are at such high levels. So it's been a great fit. He's done everything we've asked and more. He's not a guy who's super vocal, but he sets a great example, really models, what we want to be about. And again, when you come into a job and you inherit, guys that didn't come here to play for you, those things can usually go one of two ways. And what he's done along with Kellen and Larry have been just incredible in terms of how committed they've been and how much they bought into what we're trying to do here, in this iteration of St. Louis basketball.
Yeah, how are Kellen and Larry? I mean, I'll talk about Isaiah Swope here in a second, who, by the way, Gibson said is the quickest player and maybe most explosive player he's ever played against or with. So That's a huge statement. But what sort of effect has that had on Larry and Kellen, and how are they progressing?
Yeah, they've been terrific. Kellen was dealing with a little bit of an Achilles deal, so he missed a few days and was kind of back. I think he'll be full go today. He was supposed to be a little bit limited in the scrimmage on his progression back, but he's been terrific. Kellen's he's one of those guys that just, is all about winning, all about the team. What can he do to affect and impact winning? His care level is at the highest level in terms of, cares about the right stuff, cares about being a great teammate. One of those guys that every room he walks into, he brightens it. He energizes it with who he is. Always got a big smile on his face. And so he's a guy that I just, I'm really excited to get to coach. And we were, thrilled to get the news. He got a redshirt year for his first year where he had that injury, on the scooter. And so he'll have 3 years left of eligibility, which is great news for us. And of course, great news for him. And I expect him to be a big piece. He does a lot of things well. He can get his shoulders by. He's a terrific cutter. He's making threes more consistently. He's learning how to stop. So huge growth for him. Larry, same thing. Larry's been completely bought in, trying to do what he has to do. He's really trying to compete defensively. He's obviously, along with Gibson, Isaiah, Robbie, in that group of guys that we would say are really high level shooters. He can shoot off movement. He can shoot with range. He's learning how to play without the basketball. He's trying to do things to impact and affect winning outside of just his shooting. And I think he's really bought into trying to do that to become a more complete player, a two-way player. And so we're seeing a lot of growth out of those guys. And all three of them, have been, again, when you take over a job, they didn't come here to play for me. They didn't come here to play in this system or this culture. And for those three guys to be as adaptable and as committed and as bought in as they are, it's credit to who they are as kids, because that's not an easy transition to make when you're already here. And those guys have made it seamlessly.
And then for Isaiah, obviously the explosiveness is there and the excitement, I know, for fans. I hear buzz from fans are very interested in Max Picard and what he brings to the table. What did you see out of him so far?
Max, I think Max is one of those guys that, his potential is through the roof. He's a legitimate 6'11". He's got a 7'3" wingspan. He moves. Really can slide his feet. He's a guard, at that size. He can handle the ball. He can shoot threes. He's just scratching the surface of what he can be. I don't know when it's going to come together for him. I mean, obviously he's got to make a jump physically. He's so skinny, and he has such a growth there. And then he's got to figure out kind of how to unlock his whole game, because he has so much to his game. He can really pass. He can facilitate the way Robbie does, but he can step out, shoot threes. He's quick with the basketball. He's terrific in the seams and getting, creating action and getting in the seams. And at 6'11", he's such a big target. He's got to figure out cutting, but as he does, again, he's a 6'11" target doing that. So there's just so much to his game, shot blocking, rebounding. He's truly a unicorn. But that doesn't mean that is going to come together for him in November. But it's one of those things I always talk about. We gotta continue to discover the team all season. We can't. It's not like what our lineup is. October 18th is going to be our lineup all season. I'm not one of those coaches that, when we start and have a rotation that's it. Last year, it did work out that way. But the year before, we made a number of changes. I think 3 or 4 of our starters changed out, even though we won 23 games. We made changes. I think you got to keep your fingers on the pulse of your team all year. And as guys get better or guys fall off, who gives us the best chance to win each and every night? And Mac's the guy we got to really, keep close eyes on, develop, and he's got a chance to have a special career here at St. Louis.
It's exciting to hear. You take on Rockhurst in an exhibition on October 18th, as you mentioned. That's a Friday. The following Friday, Maryville. These are back-to-back exhibitions on Friday nights at Chaffetz Arena before you open with Santa Clara on November 4th. We always appreciate your time. Thank you so much for this, and best of luck in practice today, and best of health to your injured players, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Sounds great, Tom. Appreciate you guys. Hope to see everybody the 18th there at Chaffetz and get this thing off to a great start. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you. Josh Schertz, the head coach at St. Louis University. We'll come back, take a look at the St. Louis Blues next. This is Sports on a Sunday Morning on KMOX, sponsored by Gray Bar.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey. We're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/rain to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/rain. That's leaffilter.com/rain.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
You entrusted a nursing home with the care of a loved one, but they violated that trust. If your family member has been the victim of nursing home neglect, call Onder Law at 844-BED-SORE.
Fall is here. Football, beautiful weather, and the changing colors of trees and shrubs. When you think of your trees, call family-owned Gamma Tree Experts. Fall is a great time to prune and fertilize your valuable trees. Our staff of certified arborists will survey your trees to determine their needs. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. Call Gamma Tree Experts at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive.
So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
At the UPS Store, we understand the importance of a first impression. That's why we're here to help you put your best foot forward and be unstoppable with our printing services. With high-quality paper stock options, banners, business cards, menus, and more, we make sure your small business stands out and your message reaches the masses. After all, we're the one-stop prints that pop store. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today and get your print on.
Broadcasting from the Underline Three Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Hey, the Blues had a game last night at Enterprise Center. They beat the Blackhawks. Pat Maroon scored for the Blackhawks last night. The Oakville native Pat Maroon, but it wasn't enough because the speedy Dylan Holloway got the game winner in OT. And when I say speedy, I mean the Blues have really added some speed, and that was pointed out by Drew Bannister after the game, a 3-2 overtime win at Enterprise.
I mean, obviously the speed factor, that's certainly something that is quite noticeable in our team from last year to what we see so far this year. I mean, whether it's him or Joseph or Texier, they can all really get up the ice pretty quick. So it certainly changes the dynamic and the pace of the game that we can play at.
It's not something that you're playing for, but I mean, when you get to these 3-on-3 situations, are you going to feel confident knowing that you have those kind of guys at your disposal that you can put out there on the ice?
Yeah, no question. I mean, again, it's a different dynamic, but we still have some players that weren't in the lineup here tonight that can play in those situations too. So, but it's nice to be able to have options like that when you get to whether it's a 4-on-4 situation or a 3-on-3.
It was really noticeable. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, like I said this morning, I've been really impressed with him in his practices, not knowing a ton about him as a player. We wanted to give him a little time to get up here. Obviously, he played a lot of games before coming to us. At I guess it would have been the World Championships for them, qualifying for the Olympics. But I was really impressed. I thought he had an outstanding game here tonight, and I thought their whole line was really good. But in particular, he stood out for me. The speed, the skill, he's heavy on his stick, makes creative plays, but he's always around the puck.
You're seeing Holloway's overall game.
I thought Dylan played outstanding. He just continues to get better. I think early on, the first couple of games, again, I said this before, I thought a lot of our players were just kind of easing their way into it. And I thought, tonight, not that we didn't start well. I thought our start was okay. I thought we were a little bit slow to close in the D zone. We stood around and watched a little bit, which caused us issues. And but in the second and the third, you could see, we played with more of a purpose, and our speed was really evident in the second and the third.
What's your line in general with Holloway?
Yeah, I thought they were really good. I mean, I had them, for the most part, they're paired up against, their top line, and I thought they did a great job, especially in the second and the third. That line didn't really have too much going on. I thought, they spent the majority of the time having to defend, and that was because, those guys were playing with a lot of pace down the wings, and Radek, I thought, again, was really good on draws, but he's heavy down low. He closes down plays really quickly. He's strong on the cycle. So, that was, I really liked that line. it's nice. Again, it's nice to have that kind of speed on your wings. It certainly backs teams off and makes them a little bit uneasy at times.
All right, so speed is a theme there. That is Drew Bannister, the head coach of the St. Louis Blues, after a 3-2 overtime win over the Blackhawks last night at Enterprise Center. First home preseason game, first win of the preseason for the Blues. They had dropped 3. Dylan Holloway, who they picked up from Edmonton, he has speed and he has ability. He's also very good with the puck, and I think defensively can be a real pest. He can hit, he can poke the puck away. He's a good player. Nathan Walker also scored. Holloway had 2, Walker had 1. Jordan Binnington stopped 10 of 12 shots that he faced in 2 periods, and the Blues get the win 3-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks. Coming up next hour, we will do our NFL picks. We will take a look at St. Louis City SC through the eyes of sporting director Lutz Pfannenstiel, who joins us at 11:15. At 11:30, Katie Wu in her interview with our Matt Pauley, discussing the piece that she wrote and that came out on Friday in The Athletic that had Cardinal Nation abuzz. And then at 11:45, Bernie Miklasz to follow up on that and what we can anticipate as early as tomorrow from the Cardinals and this organization moving forward. I know because I'm seeing it on Twitter a lot. John Mozeliak is traveling. That's why he can't make it.
You know Diamonds Direct for their exquisite diamonds and fine jewelry. What about luxury watches? With a handpicked collection by the industry's top timepiece experts, skip the waiting list and get the timepiece you've been eyeing right away. And this month only, enjoy 0% interest for 5 years on all the top brands. Imagine owning a $15,000 luxury watch for just $250 a month. Spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest on approved credit. Diamonds Direct, where you can shop direct for diamonds and watches.
This is Christina Straight with Straight Realty reminding you, why pay more than 4? In 2003, we had a dream to start a real estate company that would revolutionize the real estate market. Now, 20 years later, after navigating through the many market's ups and downs, we know exactly how to help you in this challenging time. I'm Christina Straight, owner Straight Realty. Don't give away your hard-earned equity. Give us a call today, 314-441-4444, 314-441-all-4s. And remember, why pay more than 4?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Nobody wants a surprise in their jelly donut.
It's toothpaste?
That's because the middle is the most important part. At Graybar, we're at the middle of electrical and datacom jobs across the country, connecting installers, facility managers, and business owners with smart solutions for their most challenging projects, which means stocking and delivering crucial products on time and on budget with no surprises, thanks to our nationwide logistics network. Yep, Graybar does that.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, the director of Siteman Cancer Center, Dr. Tim Eberlein.
The new building is going to be focused on clinical care and accrual to clinical trials, and it'll integrate radiology evaluation of patients.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. When it needs help, call the experts at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Their certified technicians repair all brands of doors and openers, and you can even schedule evening and weekend service. Just call 314-781-5200 and always look for the red ribbon. It's your assurance you've got the genuine, the original Overhead Door, the most trusted garage door company in St. Louis since 1926. For same-day service, schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com. 314-781-5200.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Parts. I'm Michael Toscano. Almost 3 million customers in the southeastern U.S. are still without power in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, according to the U.S. Energy Department. At least 75 people died as the storm tore through 6 states. FEMA Administrator Dan Criswell tells CBS's Face the Nation the recovery is in the early stages.
In North Carolina, we're still in active search and rescue mode. They're still having flooding issues and landslides.
CBS's Jim Krasula takes a closer look at the situation in the Tar Heel state.
It's being likened to Katrina, the situation in western North Carolina, mountainous western North Carolina, after record rainfall. The city of Asheville, the biggest city in the region, is basically cut off. Many roads have been washed away, bridges as well. Portions of busy interstates 26 and 40 have also been washed away in several locations.
Israel keeps bombing suspected Hezbollah targets in Lebanon after killing a top Hezbollah leader. President Biden is calling for a ceasefire, but Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton says the U.S. should actively help Israel there.
Hezbollah is on its knees. The United States should help Israel drive Hezbollah to the mat and choke it out and finish it off once and for all.
The BBC's Hugo Bashega is in Beirut.
There is a tense, anxious wait here in Beirut and also across Lebanon. I think people want to see how Hezbollah is going to respond. Obviously, the leadership of Hezbollah has been decimated. Hezbollah has been weakened by almost 2 weeks of intense Israeli airstrikes.
If roughly 45,000 U.S. longshoremen make good on their threat to strike beginning Tuesday, they could shut down 36 ports from Maine to Texas that handle about half the goods shipped into and out of the United States. The U.S. Maritime Alliance, which represents shippers and ports, and the Longshoremen's Union haven't met since June, and no new talks are scheduled. Pope Francis has wrapped up what's been described as a difficult visit to Belgium by doubling down on his traditional views on women and abortion. While in Belgium, Francis faced unusual levels of direct criticism, as we hear from the BBC's religion editor, Alim Makpool.
The Pope listened to both the country's king and prime minister criticize the church over sex abuse scandals, saying actions were needed, not just words, and that the church had been too slow to act. At one Catholic university event, the rector publicly told the Pope the church needed more openness towards gay people.
On his way back to Rome, Francis demanded that Catholic bishops stop covering up for predator priests. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
At 11:03, cloudy skies, 72 downtown at the Arch. Good morning, I'm Scott Jagow. Our top story this hour, the St. Louis Preservation Board is preventing a new apartment complex from being built in Tower Grove South. This is for the sake of 3 houses, 2 of which are empty.
Kyle Howardson, a co-founder of the apartments developer, the AHM Group, tells KMOX they hope this decision to preserve these buildings is only a minor setback. He says not only would they create more housing if they replace these old homes, he adds the cost associated with rehabbing them would drive the rent up too high.
When we analyze how much money it would cost to make the buildings inhabitable, both for a commercial tenant and residential tenants, then the rents that would need to be charged just to cover the monthly debt service are astronomically high relative to market.
He says they can appeal the Preservation Board's decision later this month. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
We have an update on the warning sirens that have sounded for no apparent reason. St. Louis County Office of Emergency Management is aware, and they are working on the problem, taking all necessary steps to prevent further false soundings. You're encouraged to check reliable alternatives such as weather radios. Rave Alert is a free emergency notification service as well. You'll receive updates directly to your phone. Marijuana dispensaries in the city will soon be allowed to stay open until 10 p.m. Aldermen approved that on Friday, 12-0 vote. The supporters say the later time will help city stores better compete with dispensaries in the county. They can stay open until 9, and the change will, of course, also provide more tax revenue. A nonprofit community health organization has big plans for a hot corner in Dutchtown. Family Care Health Centers will break ground later this year on a $14 million facility. This is on the corner of South Grand and Chippewa, where St. Anthony's Hospital once stood. The Business Journal says the center will provide primary medical care, behavioral health services, and other programs to people regardless of their health care coverage. Family Care Health Centers was founded in 1969 and has other facilities in Carondelet and Forest Park Southeast. This afternoon, kind of gray, but we might see the sun off and on, a passing shower or two, 77. Overnight, 64, high of 80 with a mix of clouds and sun tomorrow, and then less humid with sunshine on Tuesday and a high of 77. Right now, we have 72 all around St. Peter's, Florissant, and downtown at the Arch. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
This is the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
I was just talking to Scott Jagow and Drew Young about my football team. It's new territory for me. Indiana's 5-0. It's crazy. Just crazy. Indiana's 5-0, and they look every bit legit. Every single bit legit. A very good line, good quarterback play. They turned it over a few times, which they had not done all season against Maryland, and still won the game pretty handily. They were up by 3 touchdowns, ended up winning it by 2 touchdowns, 42-28. So exciting times for your host, that's for sure. Mizzou had the week off. Illinois loses at Penn State. We talked about that. Alabama, Georgia, great game. Bama looks every bit like a contender, of course, for the national championship. Georgia will be just fine. Great teams going head to head, but there are a lot of teams to keep an eye on here. Before I get to my NFL picks, let me just do a quick little college football run through for you. So looking at the top 25 right now, and I would anticipate that my Indiana Hoosiers will be in the top 25 here when it comes out a little bit later. But the way that it looked right this moment, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, 1 through 5, all great teams. Ole Miss will fall pretty hard after losing at home to Kentucky, 20-17. Miami, I thought, had a chance to maybe run the table and maybe even, flirt with number 1 in the country at some point. They had a little shaky game against Virginia Tech that they had to squeak through. Oregon went to UCLA and won pretty easily. Penn State, as you know, number 9, handled Illinois, and that's a good win for them. Nice, solid win. Nothing spectacular, except they did what they should have done. I think Utah is a really nice team, and then they lose to Arizona 23-10. That's a damaging loss to them. They needed to stack some wins here. So they're 10th in the country. Missouri's 11. Missouri should move up a notch, even though they didn't play and they lost to, they didn't lose to anybody, but they had Vanderbilt. They had to go to double overtime and win. Missouri, I think, might get bumped up a notch. We'll see. Michigan with a win, but barely over Minnesota, 27-24. And they're ranked 12th in the country. Nebraska came alive and beat Purdue 28-10 in the Big Ten. But yeah, this Big Ten, with Illinois, shouldn't fall too far. I think Notre Dame has to protect, obviously, the rest of his schedule. Northern Illinois loss was damaging at the time, but they still have a pretty good shot. And just kind of peeking at these other teams, Oklahoma now 4-1. They'll have a big game looming against Missouri on November 9th that could really help them, but they've got to keep winning. But yeah, there are a lot of tough games for Oklahoma. I mean, they've got to play Texas next after this bye week, South Carolina, at Ole Miss, which was embarrassed, at Missouri, Bama, and at LSU. Yikes. That is a tough schedule for Oklahoma. So, this is going to be a fun college football season. I think it's fun when 12 teams make it. I think that is great. I like that a lot. 12 teams make the college football playoff, and we'll see where this all heads. Meantime, let's get into our picks, shall we?
And a key block by the left guard, Tom Ackerman. And right here, let's go downstairs to Butts.
Marv, if you remember that big run Robert Holcomb had on the first drive, one of the guys responsible on help busting him loose was Tom Ackerman.
Tom Ackerman up front, and this is a unit that has played very well. A good night for Eddie George. 21 carries, 74 yards. The left guard, Tom Ackerman, with the block that set him free. It's a first down.
Okay, there it is. Tom Ackerman, the great offensive lineman, not me, but my good pal. That someday we will pay even greater tribute to the great Tom Ackerman, the Tennessee Titans offensive lineman. One other college football note, if I may, is that UNLV smoked Fresno State 59-14 in a game that they were favored to win by 2.5 points. You don't think Barry Odom and that team They were ready to go after the whole Sluka controversy, the quarterback who said he should have gotten paid NIL, and there was who's his agent and what the heck is this, the new territory of NIL? And that's too bad because UNLV was having such a good year. And what's his future, and did he hurt his career? UNLV dust themselves off. They practice all week, and they blow out Fresno State 59-14. Watch out for Barry Odom, the former Missouri Tigers coach. All right, let's get into our NFL picks before we talk to Lutz Pfannenstiel. I'll be quick. The Kansas City Chiefs, let's start with them. They play on KMOX today at 3:25 against the Los Angeles Chargers. We are picking with or against the spread here. They are a 7.5-point favorite against the Chargers. I think it's about time for a Chiefs blowout. I think they are about ready to do it. I think they'll have a lot of fans there today, and they've won their games by the following scores: 27-20, 26-25, 22-17. All wins. Chiefs need more. They all know that. I think it's time for the Chiefs to blow somebody out. I'm going to take the Chiefs minus 7.5 against the Chargers. Here are the noon games today. New Orleans at Atlanta. The Saints are 2.5-point dogs on the road. Give me the Saints plus 2.5. Rams at Chicago. Ugh. Gross. Bears minus 3. I'll take the Bears at home. Minnesota at Green Bay. Are the Vikings for real? We're about to find out. They play at Lambeau today. They are 2.5-point dogs. I think they are. I'm going to take them plus 2.5. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. The Colts are 2.5-point dogs at home. The Steelers finish games, folks. Steelers are not to be messed with right now. I like them covering the 2.5. I'm taking the Steelers minus 2.5. Denver at the Jets. Love the way the Jets are playing right now, but be careful here. 8-point spread. Broncos just came off a very confident win at Tampa Bay, 26-7. I'm going to take them plus 8 against the Jets. Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. So I just mentioned Tampa Bay got smoked last week by the Broncos, and the Eagles are a good team. The spread here is 1. Eagles favored by 1 at Tampa Bay. Give me the Birds. Eagles minus 1. Cincinnati at Carolina. The Bengals are 4.5-point favorites. If the Bengals don't win today, they are done. They will not make the playoffs. 0-3 teams don't make the playoffs. The Bengals have to win today, and they have to win decisively. The Bengals minus 4.5 all day long. Jacksonville at Houston. Jacksonville is a turnover machine. They're a mess. Give me Houston minus 5.5 at home against the 0-3 Jaguars. Washington at Arizona. Love Jaden Daniels. Love him. Loved him at LSU. Love him here in this rookie year. And I'm going to take him on the road plus 3.5 at Arizona. New England at San Francisco. Niners are a 10-point favorite. I'll take them. It's a lot of points, but I'll take the Niners minus 10 at home. Cleveland at Vegas. Oof. Do I have to pick somebody? Cleveland minus 2.5 at Vegas. I told you the Chiefs cover. Buffalo at Baltimore is a great football game tonight. The Ravens are 2.5-point favorites. I like them to go 2-2 and cover the 2.5. Tennessee at Miami on Monday Night Football. I'm going to go with the Titans plus 2 to get their first win of the year. And Seattle at Detroit, the Monday night game is going to be bananas there. That 3.5, that hook, I'm not so sure about, but I'll reluctantly take Detroit minus 3.5, giving Seattle, a good team, 3.5 points. There's your NFL picks. Lutz Pfannenstiel is going to be calling in 15 seconds, and will be joining us next on Sports on a Sunday Morning, sponsored by Gray Bar.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, VH1, TLC, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. And with up to 3 streams at once, you'll never have to fight about what to watch. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows, and save all your favorites with the unlimited unlimited DVR, so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC Plus. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's PHILO.tv.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broke and it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because they're open till 8. JerryKelly.com. They'll be here quick and have you feeling good. JerryKelly.com. Cause your furnace will be running like it should. They're certified technicians, I've been told. Will help you when it's hot and help you when it's cold. JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. JerryKelly.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Tom went back and in full form. This ball discouraged by Berkey downfield. Klaus gets to it as the defender went down in the box. Choo-choo from the end. Yeah! Rasmussen! City up 2-0. 54th minute in the barbecue.
Listen to that play. City Park, Rasmus Alm with the goal, his second of the season. Sporting KC responded. Then Edward Leuven with a goal to secure a 3-1 victory for City against Sporting Kansas. Joining us is Lutz Pfannenstiel, Sporting Director for City. Good morning, Lutz.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Always fun after a win, and a good win. You get your rival again. You went unbeaten against Sporting KC. What does that mean to your organization to be able to do that against the team across the state?
Yeah, I think it was one of the highs this season, having two good results away in Kansas, and then yesterday I think we deserved that victory. We worked hard for it. It was an entertaining game, and it wasn't all that easy because Sporting played some good football. There was some moments after they closed it to 2-1 that, we got a bit shaky at times. But, Edu's goal kind of sealed the deal. And it means that, people shouldn't really cut us out yet for 2025. I think we know what we are capable of. I think you saw the changes we made now in the last transfer window, where I would say pretty magnificent when it comes to the change, the way we play football. And I think that's something we really can look forward to. On the other hand, Tom, it was a bit of a bittersweet victory yesterday because I was on the phone and watched at the same time Minnesota play against Colorado. And yeah, with that victory, that means we are also eliminated from the playoffs for this season, which is definitely disappointing.
Yeah, I understand that, especially after everything that happened last year, the magical ride that I hope somebody someday makes a documentary about, this team that came to St. Louis and won the Western Conference the first year. But you knew that this was going to be a long-term play. You wanted this team to be great for many, many years. And unfortunately, you dealt with some things this year. You dealt with a lot of injuries. You almost had it. Didn't Teuscher almost not play in that game last night? I mean, he played a phenomenal game, hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, he was man of the match. But he got a bad knock on the knee, so it was really a 50-50 if we can play him. And, we waited till the last moment to make that foul decision. But, it was nothing dangerous. It was just something extremely painful. Very similar what Chris Durkin has as well, where you just have to play him through that pain barrier. I think, if Cedric can play with pains that well, then I'm really looking forward when he doesn't have any pains, because there was yesterday a man of the match performance. But as you said, we're going back. The season. I looked at the stats during the week at some stats, and we played just as one thing for everybody to think there as well. We actually played 10 center backs this season. And a normal team all over the world in the top 5 leagues plays 3.4 center backs a year. That's a position you don't change much. We had 10 different players actually playing in their position. And that shows that the injury just disrupted that. And having key positions like that where stability and consistency is the most important thing, made it just extremely difficult. But then again, I think the hope and the way we played, you saw in recent weeks, the way we performed, the way we became a team again. And I think that's the most important part, the way we grew together again as a group. I think everybody in the stadium felt it yesterday. I have to say the supporters were absolutely world class. There was a few people here from Europe that were like, wow, that's unbelievable. So it was a special night. It was a great night. It proved to us that we still can win 2 in a row. It proved to us that we still can win games. The only thing which didn't prove to us was that we can't keep a clean sheet, so that's something to work on. And I need to be always. I always need to find the negative. Of course, that's my job as well. But I'm pretty excited about that performance yesterday. We're getting ready to travel to LA. We have another home game next week. 3 games more to play in total, and I think that's for us to literally show ourselves to the fans, but also make a statement that we know where we want to be next season.
Yeah, your LA game will be on Wednesday night, and I have to give this team credit, and maybe, I should also give John Hackworth some credit here for keeping this team not only playing with a great attitude, knowing that they were just about eliminated, now officially eliminated, but playing technically some good soccer, it looks like. I mean, it's a nice, fluid type style of play, is it not? And how much credit should go to John Hackworth for that?
Yeah, definitely a lot. I mean, it was never a question for me when we parted ways with Bradley Cornell that John should take over for the time being. John should take over and get that team back on track and get them together again. And I think John did a fantastic job. He's a great man manager, but he's also a good coach on the field. He's a good tactician. And that's I think John wants to show himself and wants to stay head coach. And I think yesterday what he did, or what the boys also did for him and did for all of us, I think gives them a good case.
How did Klaus play last night?
This is the funny thing about professional soccer. You're looking at a center forward and you say, well, now Klaus didn't score again. But if you were in the stadium and you watched him yesterday, one of the best games he played, the way he holds up the play, the way he can shield the ball, also the way he muscles out defenders. And I think that second goal of Rasmus Alm, where Cedric Teuchert played the assist, the way Klaus got in there and actually won that battles, I thought it was a really good performance. He worked hard. He was involved in a lot. He's very difficult to really mark completely out of the game. He gives opposition defenders a lot to think of. So I think his presence can make a difference. So I think it was a really good performance by him yesterday.
It's a lesson, isn't it, in watching this sport, that you do not have to take a shot on goal necessarily to have an impact in a game. I mean, you do. There's so much that happens over the course of 90 plus minutes.
100%. I mean, as I said, in the end of the day, a centre forward always gets measured on the goals he scores. And we know that Klaus can score and Klaus will score. But sometimes it's more than that. If you get these spaces and you help to open up gaps for your fellow players, like yesterday for Teuchert, for Hartl, for Alm, then, you do a job. And we scored 3 goals. And I think Klaus was involved a lot in everything we did. And then it's not only about pure numbers, how much you score, it's how much you're involved and how much actually you create for your own players. So I always believe that, and I like to repeat it every week to you. It's a team sport. It's not about one person get his name on the score sheet. There's so much more to it. It's always a group who really tries to make things better. And that's how we succeeded last year. That's how we're doing, I would say, pretty good in recent weeks. And that's how we're going to approach next year as well.
It will bear watching here how you finish, certainly to get ready for, as you said, 2025. Nobody should be discounting St. Louis City SC. It's a quick off season. We know that. So these seasons tend to blend into one another, and it won't be long before we're talking about 25. But there's still work to do. You play on Wednesday, as you said, against LAFC on the road, and we wish you the best on it. We'll have it on Y98, our station right here in the building. Lutz, thank you so much for the visit.
Thanks so much, and we talk next week.
Absolutely. There he is, sporting director of St. Louis City SC, Lutz Pfannenstiel, joining us on KMOX. We always appreciate that. We're going to take a quick break. Now, the topic of the weekend really was the Cardinals, and specifically a story written by Katie Woo of The Athletic. None other than Katie Woo will be featured on this next segment of Sports on a Sunday Morning, coming up right after this.
Most of us know if it's a government program, it's hard to understand and full of red tape. Here's the problem. When you get into retirement, like it or not, you could possibly be depending heavily on Social Security and Medicare, and you'll probably need some help navigating through all the details. That's where Steve All and the All Financial Group can help. Join Steve and his team at their office on October 23rd, where Steve will discuss Social Security and special guest and Medicare consultant Scott Stream will present on Medicare. This event is complimentary, but you must qualify to attend. Call 636-230-8824 or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Scott Stream and Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC are not affiliated.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value, free.
Endurance has paid hundreds of millions in claims. Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-291-3183. That's 800-291-3183. 800-291-3183.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a car wreck, you need the best. Onder Law, voted 2023's best law firm in St. Louis. We know how to handle the insurance companies, and we'll make sure you're compensated for physical, emotional, and financial injuries. Let us make your case our cause. Car accident? Call Onder Law today for a free review. 314 or 618-9-MILLION. That's 314 or 618-9 all zeros.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows. And save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC+. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's PHILO.TV.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, Start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
KMOX Weekend at your service. Sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation. For all station contest rules, go to KMOX.com/rules. Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
We are back. Welcome back to the show. It is always good to be with you, and I appreciate everyone's loyalty to this show. I want to say that Sports on a Sunday Morning has an incredibly dedicated audience, and I know many of you at this time expect to hear John Mozeliak. Also, credit goes to our guests because they make it a point, whether it's an organization or an individual, to have somebody ready to go every single time. And John Mozeliak and I actually do it ourselves. We book that and make sure that he's ready to go. And I know I already saw this on social media. Oh, Mozeliak's not on the show. Something must be wrong, or he doesn't want, or he's hiding, or he doesn't want to talk, or something like that. That's not the case. He is on a plane and he is traveling. That is what he told me, and he's not available to be on the show today. So we appreciate, as always, the communication. We do anticipate there could be some more communication coming between the team and its fans and the media. That is to be announced. In the meantime, a big discussion about an excellent story written by Katie Wu, and I want to get right to it. This is KMOX's Matt Pauley with, from The Athletic, Katie Wu.
Thanks for coming on to the program. What's been the reaction to this from today?
No, thanks for having me. Yeah, I think, you know what, if you really break down the Cardinals and where they've been heading over the last, definitely 2 years, but obviously dating much further back, I would hope fans find this as somewhat of a reprieve. Look, it's never easy to accept your organization probably won't be competitive for a couple of seasons, but I think the Cardinals fan base in general is pretty smart. And I think what they want is a plan, and they want the organization to be transparent about the plan. And I think if you give this passionate fan base that, they'll respond accordingly. So I think it's been revealing to kind of see that kind of response. It's certainly not a direction the organization wanted to do, but it's the direction the organization felt like they had to move in.
You spoke with people anonymously, and they were able to speak very openly with you. There are many quotes in your story that are quite honestly kind of damning about the way things have gone. As you were having those conversations, were you at all surprised with what you were hearing?
A little bit, just because it's always surprising when you're going to see something with that much candor and that much honesty within any kind of organization. What was surprising to me was that it was, it's certainly not solely on player development, but the Cardinals for so long have been, renowned for their homegrown infrastructure and how they readily produce caliber baseball players from their own system. And that they were having such trouble doing so, I thought it was really alarming because, again, you think about the St. Louis Cardinals and you think about their ability to churn out guys continuously and always having a sound roster of their own growing. I mean, you look at someone like Brendan Donovan, who I think is the example of when the Cardinals get it right. They used to have 5 or 6 Brendan Donovans that's on the roster at any time. So that's what was most surprising to me was that an organization built and founded over the last 20 years on having solid player development have lost the way and fallen so far behind.
I thought one of the most interesting revelations was the fact that John Mozeliak essentially has one bucket of money to work with, and he kind of determines on it. Are you going to spend this money on the major league roster, or are you going to spend this money on creating infrastructure and having technology and staff members and everything that goes along with player development? And he's sort of been forced to spend it on the major league roster, and that in turn has resulted in falling behind on the other side.
Yeah, it's been a difficult decision for John Mozeliak, and I don't think he's immune to all criticism, but it was a tough choice he had to make. Look, we all have bosses, right? And Mo's boss is Cardinals ownership. It's the DeWitts. And if the DeWitts are only giving their baseball operations a set amount of money, well, I don't really know if we can blame Mo for doing everything he could to ensure that the team at the big league level was winning. Now, we can go back and forth on if the free agent signings were smart, if the trades panned out. Sure, that I think makes total sense. But I'm not sure if we can condemn Mo for not spending on player development when it was so clear that he was going to have to make a choice. And he felt like he needed to make the choice that was going to show up and people would respond the most to, which is the success or lack of success for your big league club. So a difficult decision for Mo to make ultimately it came down to having to make some really tough decisions because he was only operating with a set amount of money.
You know this organization very well, and there's going to be different people who fall into different camps. But generally speaking, do you think there's relief in the organization that this information comes out because it helps prepare the fans and helps fans understand these decisions that are going to be announced at some point in the near future? Or do you think the organization maybe doesn't like everything that you wrote today because of maybe some of those quotes that were somewhat damning?
I don't think relief is the word that the organization is using. I think, they are set to announce these changes and talk about it. And I think as an organization, regardless of what you're announcing, you would like the message to come from within. I know the Cardinals are planning an end of year press conference where they do discuss more of these changes in full. But I mean, let's be honest, this isn't something that brewed overnight. This has been a change years in the making. And the difference is when they were winning at the big league level, they could hide it. When you're losing at the big league level, everything comes under scrutiny. And after missing the postseason for the last 2 years, it was so obvious that it was time for a change. Look, we know John Mozeliak is coming back for 2025. He's going to step down after that, is what he said. Now, for Mo, who cares a lot about this organization, I think it's important for him, and he feels it's important as well, to ensure that he's doing everything he can so that when this transition period comes around, it's in a good place. We don't know who's going to take over. We do know that Chaim Bloom is going to have a more expanded role. Would the organization have liked that probably to come from their own messaging? Sure. But at this point, with so much turmoil, things went down the way that they did because most people in the organization felt like they didn't have a choice.
We're talking with Katie Wu from The Athletic. Hopefully you're a subscriber to The Athletic so you could read the piece that got published earlier today. You mentioned Chaim Bloom, and he's coming on full time, according to your reporting. Do we know really what that's going to look like and how that's going to possibly impact other people in the front office when you think about the Mike Gershes and the Randy Flores and just the entire brain trust that is the Cardinals organization?
Well, Mike Gersh is under contract through 2025, and I believe assistant general managers Randy Flores and Moises Rodriguez are as well. What bringing in Chaim Bloom was the organization admitting, hey, we need fresh eyes here. Something that I actually think is commendable about the Cardinals is they are so consistent in what they do. But sometimes when you become consistent and aware of the same patterns, you're not aware of the changes that need to be made. So they brought in Chaim Bloom in 2024, the beginning of the season, to just kind of audit or canvass the player development system. Chaim Bloom has had a successful track record, 16 seasons with the Tampa Bay, turning them into a powerhouse for player development. They wanted Chaim, who's regarded as one of the best in the business in this regard, to kind of see what they were missing. So he came back, gave a full report, and now the Cardinals are looking to bring him on full time to maybe see that overhaul of the player development system. So we know he'll be in charge of hiring the team's new farm director. Longtime farm director Gary LaRocque announced his retirement a couple of weeks ago. And I think the main thing Chaim will do is look to upgrade the department, whether that's adding more positions, adding more staffing, adding more technology, or adding all three. Remains to be seen, but it was made very clear to me, at least, that Chaim's first big task in this organization is getting this player development model right.
I'm not breaking any news when I say that Oliver Marmol and John Mozeliak are not overly popular with a large percentage of the Cardinals fan base. And I'm of the belief that this is not an Oliver Marmol problem at all, but that most people don't agree with me on that. We saw the attendance numbers and things like that. Do you get the sense that the Cardinals are at all concerned about running it back next year with Mo and Marmol and what the reaction is going to be from the fan base to that?
It's a very valid question. Mo and Oli are the faces, especially when things aren't going well with the organization. But I think that's how this messaging from Mo himself comes from the organization on what the future is so important. Like I said, if you give this Cardinals fan base a transparent plan of what's going forward, I think the majority of them will get behind it. Now, I also understand that, while Oli Marmol had a really solid season in 2022, won the division, that he's also overseen two of the most disappointing seasons in Cardinals history. And we can argue whether that's his fault or not, but I do want to say one thing. This Cardinals team in 2024 has disappointed. But if you think their performance on the field is disappointing, I challenge you to go look at their expected record this season. They have actually won way more games than they were expected to. And I think the Major League staff deserves some credit there, because when you think about the players that have not played well, you're thinking of Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Contreras has been hurt. They're big three. They didn't have a good Nolan Gorman. They didn't have Jordan Walker all year. This Cardinals coaching staff found a way to still win those tight ball games that should count for something. I know it's probably not the message fans want to hear right now, But it's clear that the organization feels like Oli is capable of handling the next 2 years, which will continue to be challenging if the team is still investing, or prioritizing their investing in player development over the big league club. So while I get it, I do think that, it's not necessarily a bad thing that he's still here.
Is there a scenario where if the messaging is that at the big league level, they may take a step back, or maybe a youth movement over the next couple of years, that we see some of these veterans who are under contract make their desire known to maybe play elsewhere?
It's valid. And I can't say for sure because I'm not sure if the organization has even had those conversations yet. But you think about, an impending free agent like Paul Goldschmidt, he's 37. He wants to play to win. You think about guys that were either traded here or signed here: Nolan Arenado, Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras. I mean, Arenado signed an extension to stay here to win. Contreras signed here to win. Sonny to win. So if the organization decides to take a step back and put winning on the back burner, it could very well impact their decisions. We just don't know yet. But that's something I expect to be one of the more pressing questions in the early parts of the offseason, and something that I hope we'll have more answers towards soon.
Everybody should be subscribed to The Athletic if they can financially do it, because we get amazing reporting like you had. If people are interested in an Athletic subscription, what's the way to do it?
You can sign up at theathletic.com/Cardinals, and it should prompt you. It's $1 a month for, I believe, the first 4 months right now, but we do have sales regardless, basically randomly. So always check back, and you can always send me an email or DM me on Twitter if you'd like to subscribe. But no, thanks so much for having me on and promoting the piece. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, Katie. We'll see you back here in St. Louis real soon.
All right. Thanks to Matt Pauley for having Katie Wu on Sports Open Line. That was from Friday night, the day that her story from The Athletic came out, and certainly had Cardinal Nation buzzing. We're going to talk to Bernie Miklasz about it next. He joins us every Sports on a Sunday morning at 11:45. We will catch up with him. Also, something happened on this date in Cardinals history that you'll want to hear. We will reminisce before we talk to Bernie next.
Tired of hearing scary ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. We may be able to significantly reduce and even eliminate what you owe to the IRS. Taxpayers should know. Huge savings are now being made available through the Fresh Start program that can drastically reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. Even if you haven't filed your taxes in years or are facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, or under audit, we can help. We've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today. To see what savings you may qualify for, visit us online at TRA.com or call us at 800-511-0379. 800-511-0379. Again, that's 800-511-0379. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Once that furnace kicks in, it's really hard to keep your indoor air at its best humidity level. So this fall, Comfort Solutions Heating and Cooling is offering specials on humidifiers. If you're prone to dry skin or throat irritation or tired of getting shocks every time you touch something, humidifying your home should help. It can also cut down on your vulnerability to viruses. So call Comfort Solutions Heating and Cooling to improve your air quality. And don't forget to ask about the $89 maintenance special for safety and efficiency. Comfort Solutions STL.com.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
We're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Broadcasting from the Underline Three Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Touchdown! Kansas City! Can't make it to Kansas City for the big game? No problem. Experience every Kansas City Chiefs game, like you're in the front row at Valley Sports Live in Ballpark Village. Join fellow Chief fans on game day and feel the roar of the crowd right here in St. Louis for the Chiefs. Chiefs Watch Parties, presented by Jim Beam. Don't miss a moment of the action. Head to KMOX.com/events to reserve your table now and cheer the Chiefs to victory.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
The clock is ticking. Diamonds Direct's ultimate offer is almost over. Until September 30th, you can get 5 years of 0% financing on any purchase. It's the perfect chance for worry-free shopping with no interest and monthly payments customized for you. And now open Sunday, September 29th. Take advantage of this amazing opportunity. From luxury timepieces to engagement rings and more. Don't wait. Spread your payments over 5 years with zero interest on approved credit. Only until September 30th. For details and more, visit DiamondsDirect.com.
Bernie Miklasz on KMOX is presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling.
Welcome back to the show. Before we hear from Bernie, this happened on this date, September 29th, 1963.
Take a good look, fans. Take a good look. This might be the last time at bat in the major leagues. Remember the stance and the swing. You're not likely to see his likes again. The pitch to Musial. A hot shot on the ground into right field, a base hit. Just got around third. Here's a no throw. The Cardinals lead 1-0.
Of course, he came through with a hit in his final at bat. Harry Carey with one of the great calls of his career, and Stan Musial on September 29th, 1963, called it a career. On that note, congratulations to Brian Schwarzy and his bride, Danielle Turlington. They were married last night. And the reception at the St. Louis Art Museum was beautiful. Brian is Stan Musial's grandson, and congratulations to the entire Musial family. Bernie Miklasz joins us. I know that highlight brings a smile to your face, pal.
Anything to do with the man. We miss him. What a pleasure it was for me. One of the great things about me moving to St. Louis in the 1980s was having a chance to get to meet and get to know Stan Musial and talk about Polish food and all other matters that had to do with Poland. So
yeah,
our motherland. Anyway, yeah. No, what a prince! What a prince of a man he was.
Absolutely, and it's always good to have good feelings about the Cardinals and what they stand for. And I think everybody agrees they want to get back to that. Bernie, this isn't anything more than the fans want to know what the plan is, and they would like to be told that let's have a nice line of communication between this franchise, its fan base, and let's get to the bottom of this thing. And I think we may find out as early as tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm just very curious at this point. You know, we've all speculated and we've given our theories, and we all know that to some extent what's going to happen, but just not the specifics. Really curious and really looking forward to hearing what the plan is and how it'll be received by Cardinals fans who, you know, they're skeptical. They're skeptical because they want to believe in everything that'll be said tomorrow or whenever it is. And I think the Cardinals are going to have to reestablish that trust. I mean, and that's a valuable thing. Your fans have to trust you. They have to believe what you're saying. You have to have, full credibility with them because you're never going to make everybody happy all the time. But I think that the relationship has been damaged is maybe an understatement. And listen, that happens. This is not, in fact, it's pretty extraordinary that the Cardinals and their fans have had this great partnership for well, the entire 29 years built for the most part, Bill DeWitt has owned the franchise. Like this is the first time the relationship has ever been strained and ever been damaged to the extent that it is. It's not the end of the world. The sky's not falling. The Cardinals just have to regroup and come up with a better plan, and which will include, obviously, new leadership, a fresh set of eyes on the problems, some fresh vision. And this is a good thing. This is going to be a good thing. That's the way I look at it. And I think it's overdue. And I think they're acknowledging it's overdue, or they wouldn't be getting ready to make changes. They've already made changes. So the Cardinals know that there's a problem, which is why they are going to try to do something about it. We'll just see how far they'll go with this.
I know you know Bill DeWitt Jr. well, and we know the chairman. I mean, he has won. I mean, he's not only a businessman, but he knows the game and he has won. I have actually wondered, at the very top, what he is thinking and what he will say moving forward, because we really haven't heard a lot from the chairman.
Well, I think Bill DeWitt, this encourages me, the fact that, and thanks to STL Today for reminding us of that, because I missed it at the time. At the winter warm-up, it was Bill DeWitt who said, well, this is why we're bringing in Chaim Bloom. And Bill DeWitt was very candid. He said, because we've had, basically had the same setup with a lot of the same people, and sometimes you're not. I'm going to paraphrase. He basically said, so sometimes with the changes in the game and the way you put rosters together and the way you draft and develop, sometimes, you're just used to doing it another way. You need to bring someone then that can tell you there's a better way to do it. I'm paraphrasing. That's basically what he said. So he took the lead on this, and he and John Mozeliak basically around the same time had the same thought. But Bill DeWitt was the one that said, let's get Chaim Bloom here to be a consultant. And now we all know that Chaim Bloom's going to have a much larger role. It isn't just going to be a consultant. He's already full-time, according to Katie Wu, the Athletic, and I totally trust her reporting. So we'll see where that leads, and we'll see what his role specifically will be, other than implementing changes to the player development system that are overdue, absolutely necessary, and based on his recommendations, implementing those recommendations and how to make that better.
I think people will like Chaim Bloom. I had a nice chat with him at spring training. I think he's a brilliant mind. I obviously he's done very well in the minor leagues with the Rays, and probably should have been given a much longer tenure with Boston, but they of course got impatient. He still did a pretty good job getting their organization going. I do think something you just said is important to note, and this won't go over well with Cardinals fans, but that's okay. Because John.
Well, Tom, you don't know, you didn't hear that since I joined KMOX, I speak the company line. I never criticize anything. Haven't you heard that?
Yeah. But
in fact, it's the exact opposite. But go ahead,
John. Exactly. And John Mozeliak is enemy number one. I got it. We all understand that. He has a lot of people that want him out of there. But something you just said, I think, is important to note. Mo actually called Bill and said, let's get Chaim Bloom. Did he not? I mean,
yeah.
Was he not part of this?
Well, there's no doubt. Listen, I think Mo. It's funny. I believe it or not. It's weird. I'm telling the story in a way. I was picking up some groceries this morning, and it's a store that John Mozeliak frequents. And no, I didn't see him there. But one of the people that works there said, "Yeah, Mo was in the other day, and he's always a nice guy. I like him, and he's done a lot of really good things." But they're in tough shape, aren't they? And I said, yeah. And he said, yeah, they just need to kind of modernize, right? Is that the word? I said, that's exactly what it is. And that's one of the points here. And I've been very, very tough on John Mozeliak. At times, I think maybe I've been a little too harsh, just in terms of using inflammatory phrases and getting a little too nasty than I need be. But the one thing I won't do is erase history. And one of the things that is, very convenient when somebody loses popularity, there are a segment of people, I can't tell you how many, a population of fans, they want to erase history and basically try to tell a story. Well, Mozeliak never did anything, Actually, Mozeliak was a quite distinguished president of baseball operations for a long time. But as he says, and as Bill DeWitt says, they both know it, the Cardinals model became outdated, and now it's time to change it. Again, This happens. I'm reading a story today about how the Kansas City Royals turned it around. Great story in The Athletic. And I won't go into the details, but one of the things that jumped out at me, they clinched the playoff spot, and great for them. It's the third time in the last 37 years. And listen, Cardinals fans have a right to be ticked off because they've supported the team at such a tremendously high level. But there are times where I sit back and say, look, this stuff shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have let it get bad like this, talking about Bill and Mo. But this is not exactly living baseball hell on earth, right? I think they can turn things around relatively quickly if they let Chaim Bloom do his thing with player development. He went in there, the Red Sox, who were terrible at developing players, they now have the third best farm system in baseball. They had 3 or 4 guys this year who led their playoff push. They didn't make it, but because of the work he did, bringing guys that were drafted by him, they became better, and they have a younger, fresher, more athletic roster, and they've got about 4 or 5 guys on the cusp of the big leagues who are really, really talented. The point is, people text me or talk to me on my YouTube channel. Well, his record at Boston, he's only 5 games out of over 500. Missing the point entirely. He was fired because they reneged on what they wanted him to do. And they got mad when they weren't winning fast enough. But they were the ones that said, we got to cut payroll. We're going to be more efficient. We want you to put the Tampa Bay system in, drafting, developing, pipeline, and he did that. He did it very, very well. But when they tell him to trade Mookie Betts, what, are you going to blame him for that? Not me. I think the Cardinals need to be reborn in terms of player development. They need to restore that pipeline that they had with Jeff Luhnow. And that will be the best thing for the organization because how do we know that? Because we saw it for a long time here when the Cardinals were thriving in terms of player development. This is a legitimate thing. It's the foundation for your franchise.
Absolutely. It was their identity without question, and I'm ready for change. Subscribe, please, to Bernie Miklasz' YouTube page. It is well worth your time. And my friend, we appreciate it as always. Thank you. And stand by for tomorrow. We will figure it out, Bernie, what we're going to do here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And Tom, it's just a joy to be with you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Bernie Miklasz Report sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Coming up next, we have, I believe, Second Amendment Radio, then Cardinals pregame, then Chiefs right here on KMOX.
Charlie Brennan once again with Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Dr. Bosler, is it possible we might say, oh, those kids are mumbling, when the problem really is our own inability to hear?
Exactly. Hearing is integral in everything that we do. It keeps us involved and embraced in life. Not hearing someone is never normal. Ringing in the ears is never normal. And when people have a hearing loss, oftentimes they complain that they can hear, but they cannot understand people.